So I have been breastfeeding for the last 7 years. Hi and welcome to my channel, Shades of Sage, where I share all things motherhood. My name is Tashima. I'm a doula, chef, and mom of 5. And today I am talking all about, just a little bit about my breastfeeding journey. So yes, you heard me correctly. I have been breastfeeding off and on, pretty much, but mostly on, for the last 7 years or so. Now, I have 5 children, like I stated already. My oldest is 7 years old, and my youngest is 8 months. She will be 9 months very soon, like next week. And so I've been breastfeeding. I have been breastfeeding. I feel like the last 10 years or so, yeah, I've been breastfeeding because I have all my children back to back. So the biggest gap in between is Kenzo and Asa, and I think that's like 18-ish. I got pregnant 18 months postpartum, so you can do the math with that. But I've had all of my children back to back, starting with Saya and then up to now, right? So I had my last in October, and I exclusively breastfeed. So if you watch any of my other videos, you know how passionate I am about breastfeeding, and it has always been my goal for my children, like before I became a mom, to do 2 years, at least 2 years of breastfeeding for each child. But again, because I had my children back to back, that meant that for a lot of my pregnancies also, I was still breastfeeding. Just because the previous baby, you know, still needed breast milk. Now, I did go at least a year with all of my children so far. And so I am trying to go 2 years this time. We will see. That's still my goal, but you know, things can happen, or I may not be able to, or whatever, or I may decide to stop, like I have definitely done that in the past with other children. But that first year is definitely the milestone that I make sure I reach for all of my children. And so I'm close to that mark, you know, with my last child. And so yeah, so I breastfed all of them exclusively. And again, because some of my children, I got pregnant pretty soon postpartum. Please do not believe that myth out there that you cannot get pregnant if you are exclusively breastfeeding. Some women who are just very fertile, like I am, like my mother is, we can get pregnant pretty much at any time postpartum. So be careful with that. But yeah, even with exclusively breastfeeding, I still got pregnant. One of my quickest ones was 5 months postpartum. And like I said, no bottles, no pacifiers, no anything, no formula, anything like that. And I always really got my cycles back like 3 months postpartum. And so that's why a lot of them are really close in age and things like that. But yeah, it was always my goal to make it to 2 years, at least that first year. And obviously, if I had a baby that was under the age of 1 and I was pregnant, I did breastfeed while I was pregnant, okay? And I can do a separate video on breastfeeding while pregnant if you're interested. Like, if you want to know like what that entails, or you know how I did it, how it's done, or you know what the recommendations are, let me know, you know, down in the comments of this video below. But yeah, I did breastfeed and was pregnant at the same time. So that is a little, it's a challenge because you really have to make sure that you're taking in enough nutrition for not only you, but your growing baby and the baby that you're still breastfeeding. And so it's a lot, right? But like I said, I always wanted to make sure that my babies had that breast milk, at least for that first year, because that is what is their main form of diet before they reach the age of 1. So I was able to do that. Now, a couple of my children, my oldest and my 4th child, I was able to breastfeed longer than 1. My oldest, obviously, because she was the only child at the time and I had more time on my hands. But for her, I stopped breastfeeding her just like halfway through my pregnancy, my second pregnancy, just because I wanted a little bit of a break before I had, you know, the next child that I was carrying, Matthias. And so that's why I stopped at a year and a half with her. Then I did a year and a half with Asa, mainly because I planned on him being my last child. And so I was like, I'm just gonna go as long as I can with him. Again, still trying to reach that 2-year mark, that, you know, goal that I always had in my mind for all of my children. But then I got pregnant shortly after. And so, well, not shortly after, he was 11 months old when I got pregnant with Alma. So again, I still wanted that break because I already knew that having a new baby means at least a year of breastfeeding for me. And so yeah, I fed him the longest. He is the boy that I breastfed the longest, so he is very lucky in that aspect. But yeah, a year and a half with my oldest, a year and a half with Asa, a year for everyone else, and I am going into a year plus, hopefully, with Alma. And so yeah, it's been 7 years of breastfeeding, and I feel pretty good about it. Again, it is a lot. It's a lot. Like, I'm not going to try to make it seem like it's not a lot, because it is. But I really do love breastfeeding. I really do enjoy it, and that's why I try to share as much information on this channel that I can about supply, issues, latching, support system when you're breastfeeding, making sure that you're getting the right information for breastfeeding, and how to successfully breastfeed your baby if that's your goal and you know you don't want to use any formula, or returning to work and you're trying to figure out how to navigate, you know, still breastfeeding your baby and pumping enough for him or her, and then making sure that you have, you know, a good supply, and when you're feeding straight from the breast when you are with your baby. And so yeah, I just feel like whenever, again, I try to make it to at least 2 years, but I'm not against like people. I mean, there's so many benefits, really. There's so many benefits for extended breastfeeding, and extended just means anything past a year. And so that's why I said I always try to make it to 2 years, because that's actually the recommendation. Like the World Health Organization and the Academy of Pediatrics, all of them recommend that you breastfeed for at least 2 years. I know a lot of people don't do that, and honestly our society and the way people think doesn't really make that easy for moms. Like if you're able to do that, that's such a blessing for you and your baby and even yourself, because there's so many benefits for breastfeeding for mom that people don't know about. Again, check out my YouTube channel. Check out my breastfeeding playlist on this channel. So much information, chock full of breastfeeding information. But I just feel like whenever mom and baby are ready to stop, then that's the good age to stop. Like, I'm not going to put a number on it. Like, if you feel like, even if your child is 2 and you want to continue to breastfeed your baby. Now, I know it's controversial, but I don't care. If my older children ask for breast milk, I do give it to them. Okay. Now, again, I don't pump or anything like that. I feed all of my babies straight from the breast. But if my older children ask for breast milk and they're really interested or whatever, I will squeeze some out for them in a cup. And I do not care who thinks that's nasty. I do not care who thinks that's gross, because let me tell you something. My body, you know, held those babies, made those babies, gave birth to those babies, and fed those babies. So it's completely natural for me to give my children my breast milk, okay? And human breast milk in general. It's natural for children to have human breast milk. I don't want to hear anything about anyone saying anything that is gross or whatever, because if you can drink milk from a cow, which is not even, you know, for us to be drinking, then I don't want to hear it. Again, a lot of times they're playing around, and I'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna put some in a cup for you, and they'll drink it, like whatever. It's not a big deal to me. It's not something that happens all the time or whatever, but I just feel like they all kind of get like a new I don't know, like a newfound interest in breast milk or whatever when I'm breastfeeding like a new baby. Obviously, if I'm not breastfeeding, there's not really milk available. But when I do have a new baby, the older ones, sometimes they just want to taste it and see. And I tell them what it tastes like, because I have tasted my own breast milk. And it just tastes like, sweet vanilla almond milk. If you've ever had vanilla almond milk, Silk in particular, I feel like my breast milk tastes exactly like that. And that's actually the milk that I give my children. So my children do not drink cow's milk. They do not drink whole milk. They drink almond milk. And because I just think it's healthier, I think it tastes the most similar to my breast milk. And so they'll ask for it every now and again, and I don't mind just, you know, letting them taste it in a cup or whatever. But yeah, breastfeed as long as you want to. It's your body, it's your baby. Whatever you want to do, that's up to you. That's up to mom and baby, or mom and toddler when they want to stop. Mom and child, you know, if your baby's older than a certain age, when they want to stop breastfeeding, I'm all for it. I'm all for human milk for human babies and kids and children, okay? I think that's all today. Just wanted to share a little bit of my breastfeeding journey. If you are on your breastfeeding journey, let me know how it is going. If you have any like breastfeeding questions or concerns or anything like that, leave that down in the comments below. I am going to be doing a breastfeeding Q&A soon, a live. I'm really hoping that I can do a live. So I'm trying to plan out the time and a date for that, because, you know, it is hectic with 5 little kids now. And so I'm going to try to sit down and schedule a live. I have announced it on my TikTok, and I have some questions on there. But if you're interested here, of course, this is where I'm going to be doing it. Put in your questions down below in the comment section so that I can add that to my Q&A. And we'll be doing a live Q&A on breastfeeding. I have one on this channel that I did probably 3 years ago now, and I got some really good questions. So if you want to check that one out, I will link it. But, you know, like I said, breastfeeding is near and dear to my heart. So anything breastfeeding related, I can talk about it for days, for hours, right? And so so yeah, let me know if you want to chat, hang out with me live, and we'll talk about breastfeeding. But that's all for today. So thank you for watching. Remember to let your story be your power. If you watch the whole video, give me a seashell emoji. A seashell emoji, because I'm thinking about the beach, and I hope we get to go to the beach this year, but I don't know. But anyway, a seashell emoji to let me know you watched the whole entire video. And again, if you did, thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing and liking and all of that. Now I gotta go, but I'll see you in my next video. Bye.